رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم إياك نستعين صراط المستقيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على سيدنا ومولانا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا بالقاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المنتجبين المنتخبين المعصومين المظلومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من يوم عداوتهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله الحكيم في كتابه الكريم وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الدين عند الله الإسلام. Please recite salawat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the holy book of Quran mentions that the only religion in the sight of Allah is Islam. Yesterday we examined different aspects of religion, how to find the right religion, who can make the right sets of laws and rules for the mankind. As we said yesterday, that mankind is not capable enough to make a comprehensive set of rules and laws which can benefit everyone in every aspect of their life. So, we need someone to make these laws which can benefit everyone and every person on this planet of Earth. The thing is, why do we need that? What is the relation between the religion and its followers? Why does mankind actually need religion? The religion is here to tell us what we should do and what we should not. The do's and don'ts of our life is told to us by religion. Now, how to find that the religion which we are following is the best among the rest of the religion? As I said yesterday, that we live in a country which is famous for the numbers of religions. You can find different religions in north, in south, in east and west of this country. And we yesterday talked about how to prove to get the best religion and how we can benefit through it. Today, we are going to talk about what is the impact of the religion on one's life, how a religion can help in one's life to make it better, how we can make our lives better. To understand this, we have to examine that religion is here to take care and to lead the mankind. It's here for human beings, for the man. So now we have to define man, to find the best religion, to find what religion should we follow, what religion can do for us. We have to find the different aspects of a human being's life so that we could see whether the religion which we are following can answer the questions in every aspect of the life. If you look at the history and if you look at the philosophy presented to us by the Western philosophers from the very beginning, from the Greek philosophy, if you look at the Socrates, he says, if you ask for the definition of his insan, what is an insan? What is a mankind? What is a man? How do you define man? If you look at the philosophy from the early age, way before even Jesus came to this world, in the Greek philosophy, it says a man is someone who eats, who needs covering, and who needs a place to rest. This was the simple definition of human being during the time of the Greek philosophy. A person who can eat, who needs food. Whoever needs food, whoever needs to cover himself, and whoever needs a shelter, a home, where he can lie down, where he can sit and where he can sleep. This was the simple definition of human being, of insan. But as we can see, if we consider this as a definition of Islam or a definition of insan, a human being, we are lacking a lot of things. We are not looking towards the spiritual requirement of human beings. Because not always that human being requires the materialistic things. When the philosophy moved a bit forward, his student, Aristotle, he said that we need the definition which completes this. This is incomplete definition of a human being. That a person who can eat, sleep and needs covering or clothes. So he said, he defined insan, he defined human being as an intellectual animal. a person, an animal who can think. He moved a step forward. An animal needs to sleep, an animal needs to eat, although he doesn't need to cover himself. But he needs to sleep, he needs to eat. But an insan, a human being, is more advanced than an animal. Otherwise, he would have been living in jungles. Since he's more advanced, so he defined insan as an intellectual animal. An animal who can think, who can speak, who can use his rationality. So he moved a bit forward. This definition include a little bit of spirituality. But is this it? This is what a human being needs. Then philosophy moved a bit more forward. During the time of Christianity and afterwards, they came to a conclusion that yes, humans have some materialistic requirements, they have spiritual requirements, and there is one more thing, but we don't know what that is. They knew there was something else, but they didn't know what was that. To answer that, all of these questions, we have to go to the Quran, and Quran says that human being needs three things. One, he requires food for his materialistic body. He needs to eat, he needs to drink, he needs to sleep, he needs to rest, he needs to cover his body. These are the requirements by his materialistic body. And then it moves a bit forward. He says, the Quran says that apart from being materialistic requirements, which is needed by human beings, it needs food for its spirit, for its spiritual requirements. It needs something which can help him to get the dose for his spirit, for his spiritual body. Because the insan is not just a flesh, a bone. He has to establish connection with his God. He has to establish connection with the spirit, and he has to improve himself in a spiritual way. And the third thing, which the Western philosophy couldn't answer, that the third very important thing, which the Quran states, it's ruh. What is ruh? The Quran says it is the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It doesn't define itself. But there are three different functions for three different dimensions of insan, of human being. One is a physical function. He needs to work, he needs to use his hands, he needs to walk, he needs to sleep. For that, he needs to eat. That is one side of a human being. The other side of the human being, which is the spiritual part of him, it is about his intellect, about his rationing, about wisdom, about virtue. This is the part which needs its own food. What is the food for our spirit, our soul? The spirit, our soul, requires to pray, to establish connection with its creator. And the third thing is, what is the food for the ruh? For ruh, it is the connection between living and dying. If there is ruh in the body, the person is living, he's alive. If the ruh isn't there, he is dead. So now, we have to see which religion can give us the answer for all our requirements. If we look at the religion which is presented to us in this world, there are two types of, if we divide them in two major things. In today's world, we find that there are few religions which claim to be heavenly, which claims to be there is God. Whether it's Christianity, it's Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, everyone claims to be connected with the spiritual world. But these religion only answers the requirement of only answers the spiritual requirements of the body. They talk about the spirituality. You have to, like today, we are going through a lot of advertisement for the yoga. To calm yourself, you need to do yoga. You have to connect yourself to the God, the ultimate reality. You have to do certain acts to connect yourself with the spiritual world. They're talking about these things, but they are answering only one aspect of a human being, which is a spiritual one. Be it Christianity, be it Judaism, Hinduism, or whatever religion. But when they're asked how to manage your livelihood, what you're gonna do to do business, what you're gonna do to how to work, how your behavior is going to be in the office, with the society, with the member of the family, your neighbors, your friends, they don't have anything to say about it. That is why when it comes to explain that what religion actually do, what it can do, they always talk about going and leaving your family, your city, and going into the jungle, sitting in a corner, just praying. They don't have any answers for the real world. How we have to behave in a society, living among the people, doing job, doing our work, how we have to do, what we should do in this kind of scenario, in this kind of situation. The religions mostly are silent about the questions raised by a person who is not religious, who is less religious by the definitions which today's world says. Like the definition of religion is something someone who bounds himself to do spiritual acts, like he prays, he visits his mosque or church or mandir or whatever place of praying. If a person is going to these places, he is considered as a spiritual person, a religious person. And the religion is also, these religions can only answer your spiritual requirements, if you could say that, if you accept these answers. The other thing is, if you look in today's world, we find the other part is only busy about their livelihood, their earnings. If you look at the capitalism or Marxism or communism, they only give you the idea of earning and making money and fulfilling your bodily requirements. How can you get the best food? How can you get the best of earnings? How can you get the best of money, job, and best of house? All these schools of thought, if you consider them as a school of thought, if you consider them as a thought which is actually changing the world today. This is influencing the people so much that in the Western society, when we talk about religion, it says that religious person is outdated. In today's world, we have to take care of our livelihoods, we have to take care of our families, our loved ones, we have to give them better living, we have to earn more, we have to give them better livelihood. But there is no connection of spiritual between them and with the spiritual world. They are totally materialistic. There is no connection with the spirituality. So there is one side, there are religions who are only busy with telling the people to establish the connection with the spirituality. How you can get closer to your Creator. to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or to the God? How can you be a more pious person? How can you be a more a sort of a religious person who can be called as a religious and a spiritual person, a spiritual leader? But that these religions are not answering the requirements of a layman, a person who is visiting or who is going to his job, who is doing 9 to 5 job. And on the other side, there are schools of thought like capitalism, the Marxism, the communism. They're only talking about making money. They're only talking about how to make your livelihoods better, how to take care of your families, how to make bank balances, how to earn more and more and more. But they're not talking about their spiritual part of the world. They're not talking about the spiritual requirement of human beings. The only religion which we could find in today's world, as earlier I said, that Islam is the only religion which takes care not only your spiritual requirements by telling you how to pray, when to pray, and for who to pray. They give you the whole package of letting you know how to pray, when to pray, which is the best time to pray, where is the best place to pray. It is taking care of your spiritual requirements, because human beings are not here just to eat and sleep. They have to establish a connection with their Creator, because one day everybody has to go back. وَإِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. Everybody has to go back to Him. So you have to go back. You can't go back empty-handed. Your livelihoods, your earnings is good enough for you. It is required, but for this world. But when you have to go back to your Creator, when you have to go back to the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the spiritual requirements will help you over there. The only religion which gives you the both sides of in the materialistic world and the spiritual world is Islam. It not just teaches you how to pray, it does not just teaches you how to supplicate, but also teaches you how to do business. You take a car or a taxi, when you sit in it, when you're about to pay him the money, it has to be according to the deal which Islam teaches us. Like, for example, if you sit in a taxi and if you don't make an agreement before sitting in a taxi, like I have to take a taxi from here to my house and I don't make an agreement before sitting in the taxi, whether you're going to take 500 or 600 or 1,000. If I don't make agreement before sitting in the taxi, then I have to pay him whatever he asks. That is according to the Islamic teachings, because you should have asked him before. Now, at the end of the journey, you can't, bargain with him. I always give 500. Now you're asking for 550 or 600. You can't bargain that, because that's the end of the journey. Now, whatever he asks, you have to pay. But if you come to an agreement before sitting into the taxi, that whatever this amount of sum of money I'm going to pay you at the end of the journey, now he can't argue. These are this is the mundane things, these are very trivial things which Islam tells us. From sitting to the taxi, from buying food from the streets, from doing business with your partners, how you have to do business, how you have to rent things out, how you can buy things, how you can sell things. Everything with the minute of its details is being explained by Islam. But you won't find these kind of details in the daily lives of human beings in other religions. So this is the impact we are looking for. This is what we expect, because the religion is not just something which helps you for your spirituality. Although when we do things according to certain rules and regulations which are taught to us in our daily lives, it helps us increase our spirituality as well. Because if we be honest in doing our business, if we be honest in doing and selling and buying things, that will help us to increase the spirituality which we require for our prayers, for our ibadat. This is the requirement. Because religion is basically a set of rules, a set of law which has to answer every questions in every field. If it can't answer your questions, if it can't answer your requirements, then we have to think about it. That is why when even after 1400 years, we are able to answer every questions asked by today's world. Be it the modern technology, be it the advanced medical sciences. We always have the answers to answer the latest developments. Like we didn't had blood donations back in the day of Prophet Muhammad. Salawatullah wa salamullah alayhi. There are certain things which are today, in today's world, which is very normal. But these were not present at the time of Prophet. But alhamdulillah, we, with the help of hadith, with the help of Quran, are able to answer each and every questions of today's world with the help of hadith. This proves to be that the religion we are following is the best. You won't find anything that we can't answer about it. The best of the religion, because it's a law. If you can't make law about certain things, if you can't set a rule about certain things, then there will be problems, there will be confusions. So we have to take care of these things. We have to take care of these laws, these rules. If we won't follow these rules, if we won't follow these laws, then what good these laws are going to do for us? If the rules are not followed as it has been asked to be followed, then these rules can't help you. The only verbal agreement is not going to help us. If we just continuously say that we are followers of Islam, we are the lovers of Ahlul Bayt, that is not going to help us. We have to prove these verbal things, that verbal agreement which we make of following Ahlul Bayt, of following the Islam, by our actions. If we don't follow them, if we just continuously saying it by our tongues, by our mouth, just we follow the Islam, we love the Ahlul Bayt, but we don't show them in action, that is the incomplete Islam. We just claim to be the lovers of Ahlul Bayt, but we are not by actions. To prove that we are the followers, we are the lovers, we have to show them by our actions. We have proven it over and over again and again that the religion which we have is the best one. Then why do we have to be shy in expressing our religion? We are looking for excuses that, okay, like in Alhamdulillah, the things are getting better now. But before, we used to find that there are pressure from the companies, from the bank in which our mu'mineen are working, that you have to shave your beard every day. I got one question, and I'll tell you the fatwa also. The fatwa says of Ayatollah Sistani, he was asked that somebody asked him, like, the company, the bank where I'm working, they asked me to shave my beard every day. And if I don't shave, they're going to throw me out. I have to shave. He replied that you should leave the job and find somewhere else. Because rizq is something which is given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He can change the source anytime He wants. If we think the rizq is coming from the owner or the CEO of the company, then we are actually performing sort of a shirk. The other thing, let's set this fatwa aside. Why did Why we can't see an owner or the CEO or the MD of a company is not asking a Sikh man to shave his beard? Why he never asked him? The problem is, it's not with the problem is not with the rules. The problem is with us. Because we give them the excuse to implement their rules on us. If we are steadfast on our belief on our religion and our teachings, then they can't do anything. You won't find anyone forcing any Sikh person to shave his beard or to cut his hair down. Why? Because they are steadfast on their religion. They're following their rules. Nobody has got the right to tell anyone else what you have to do, what you don't have to do. The religion, it's who has got the problem. We don't follow our religion completely. Otherwise, we can say, okay, if you're willing to throw me out of the company, I can go somewhere else. Because the rizq, the sustenance is by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nobody else can give sustenance. He can change the source. If he's not willing to pay you, you can go and work somewhere else. You can go and work in other bank or in other place. The sustenance is the responsibility of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give to his children, to give to his sons. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu was salam was asked that, is it possible that if a person is behind 7 doors and he gets his sustenance, his rizq over there? The simple answer he gave, that if his death can reach him behind 7 doors, then his rizq can also get there. The other example he gave is about the shell. He said, the shell which is at the bed of the sea needs a drop of rainwater. The Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator, the God, when he can give the rainwater to the shell which is at the bed of the sea as his rizq, then he can give you rizq wherever you are. All you have to do is believe in him. If we believe that our rizq is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it doesn't matter where you work. It doesn't matter whether anyone else tries to stop that. It's not in the hand of human beings. It's not in the hands of you and me. It's in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't even know from where the rizq is going to come. We can't even think about it. That is why it says بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. You can't even begin to think about it, from where we are going to arrange your rizq. So the least we should be worried about is the rizq. The problem with our materialistic world is the most important thing. We are worried only about our rizq. How can we get a better job? How can we get a better livelihood? This is the thing which God is going to give you ultimately. You don't have to run behind this. You have to take care of those things which you're going to need for the hereafter. These livelihood, these things which is required for this world, you will get it. But that doesn't mean you just sit at home. You will get your rizq for the amount of work you're going to do for it. The amount of effort you're going to put in it. But that doesn't mean that you only put your effort in your livelihood, in your earnings. You have to take care of your other aspects of your life, your spiritual part. Your livelihood can be sustained by others. Maybe your brother can help you, maybe your uncle, your father, your parents can help you with your livelihoods. But for your requirements, for your spiritual requirements, you have to help yourself. Nobody else can fulfill that. Nobody else can bring you the spiritual food. You have to go and get it. You have to establish your connection with your Creator. We have to establish our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for our spiritual requirements. These are the basic things. These majalises are basically organized for the spiritual food which our body requires. This majalis gives us the spiritual requirements, the things which we need for the increasing our spirituality. The majlis does that. The ibadat does that. The supplication does that. The dua which we do does that. So we have to take care of our livelihoods as well as our spiritual requirements. We gathered here, and today is the first day of Muharram. We are going through the first 10 days of Muharram. These days can be the best of the times which every one of us takes out from our busy schedule of our daily life. We try to get as much as we can for the sustenance of our whole year. Maybe we don't get time in the rest of the year. So we should get the most out of it. We should try to get and gather most and more which we could use throughout the year. We are here to mourn Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. The coming nights will be talking about Imam Hussain and his companions in Karbala. But there was one companion which was not in Karbala. When Imam Hussain got the news of the death of the Khalifa in Sham and left Medina, on his way to Mecca, he sent Muslim ibn Aqil to Kufa. Because when the people of Kufa got the news that Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam has left Medina, so they started writing letters to Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam to invite him to the Kufa, to come to the Kufa and take the throne and take the charge of Kufa as the ruler. There were about 22,000 letters was sent to Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. So Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam sent Muslim ibn Aqil to Kufa. He said, you go there and find out what is the situation over there, how much the people are willing to invite us, what is the present scenario over there, how many people for different tribes are trying to help us to establish the Islamic governance. So Muslim went to Kufa and he was invited and he was welcomed by the people of Kufa. Before I begin the Masjid, I would like to tell certain things about the Kufa that we actually hear from different people, that they are always objecting about the Kufis. They think that most of the people living in the Kufa were Shias. They were not. Because if you look at the Kufa, from the beginning of Islam till the Khilafat of Amir al-Mu'mineen, when he was there, and in the 60 Hijrah, in this 60 years or 73 years of, if we include the 13 years of Prophet Muhammad in Mecca, in this 73 years, only 5 years Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wassalam was there. But we get the impression that Shias invited Hussein ibn Ali to the Kufa and they killed him. And because of that, during the month of Muharram, they sit in a majlis and they cry and they ask for forgiveness of killing Imam Hussein alayhi salatu. In Kufa, there was more than 17 different tribes who were living in the Kufa. Some of them were the lovers of Ahl Bayt, and some of them were the followers of Uthman and the previous caliphs. Some of them were even Jews living in that city of Kufa. Some of them were Christians. The impression we get is like in Kufa there was only Shias, because Amir al-Mu'minin used to rule that city and everybody used to love him, so everybody has turned into Shia. No, it's not like that. In Kufa there was everybody else. There were the lovers, there were those who were trying to take the political advantage of the situation, because everybody else is sending the letter to invite Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. And what if Imam Hussein actually comes to the Kufa and we will be considered, okay, these people didn't send me the letters, we will be considered as the enemy. So everybody started writing letters to Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. It was not just only the Shias, the lovers of Ahl Bayt, but also the others. Because when you see that anybody is going to get into the power, who is going to sit on the throne, who is going to be the ruler, who is going to be in charge of the thing, of the place, or of a government, everybody tries to intimidate them, try to establish connection like, yes, we are the lovers, we also like you, that's why we are trying to invite you. So Kufa is very difficult to understand. For example, the Bani Asad, the famous tribe of Bani Asad. There were three types of people in Bani Asad. There was one like Habib ibn Mazahir. Habib ibn Mazahir was from Bani Asad. He was the lover of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. But he was in Kufa. There was other group who was against Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Hurmula. He was also from Bani Asad. The other group in Bani Asad is completely 180-degree against Ahl Bayt. I'm just trying to explain how difficult it was, how complex the situation was in Kufa. And the third tribe, the famous Bani Asad, which we talk about, the tribe which actually took part in the burial ceremony of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and helped Imam Sajjad during the burial of Imam Hussein. The famous tribe, they were the actual one present in the Karbala. The Imam Hussein bought the land of Karbala from this tribe. They said, we love you, but we can't support you. We can't send our men to fight along beside you. We won't be taking the part against you, but we won't be taking parts with you. So when Imam Hussein said, listen, heard this, he said, okay. Then he called their men to do the wasiyah and told him his will that if we get killed tomorrow, please come and bury our bodies. So the situation of the Kufa was quite complex. Muslim ibn Aqil reaches the Kufa. People of the Kufa invited him with open arms. And when he went to the Masjid of Kufa, 18,000 people prayed behind him. This was the Kufa when Muslim came. And imagine when Umar ibn Sa'd was leaving Kufa for Karbala, and Muslim was betrayed by the people of Kufa. The day one, there were 18,000 people praying behind Muslim. And as the days passed, There were people were getting scared. They were not able to help Muslim. The last day when Muslim led the prayer in Masjid Kufa, the narration says when he started the prayer of Maghrib, there were about a handful of people. Some say it's 9, some say it's 7. Imagine the difference from 18,000 people to a handful of people. And by the time he finished his Isha, there was nobody behind him. Muslim was all alone. He left the mosque and he didn't have any idea where to go. Because people were scared. People were afraid of the ruler. Because the ruler already announced that whoever is going to help Muslim is going to be the enemy of the state, is going to be the enemy of the government. So nobody was willing to help him. Nobody was willing to come forward and help Muslim ibn Aqil. Muslim ibn Aqil was all alone in the darkness of the night, walking through the alleys. If a person comes alone to a new city and he doesn't have any clue, nobody knows him, then he tries to memorize all the roads, all the alleys leading to his place where he is staying. He tries to memorize, he tries to set landmarks, like from where I have to go left, from where I have to go right. But if you're invited as a guest, your host is taking care of everything. Your host, you don't have to worry about the roads, you don't have to worry about the alleys, you don't have to even worry about the place you're staying, because there is a host, there is the person who has invited you, he is with you. He is going to take care of everything. You don't have to worry, you don't look at the streets. When Muslim was invited into the Kufa, he was invited by these many people. He didn't have to remember the roads, he didn't have to remember the alleys. Muslim, but when at the last day he left the mosque, he was all alone. He didn't know, he didn't have any clue where these alleys are leading to. So he was in the alley all alone, and he saw a lady. He saw a lady at a house, and Muslim was happy and went up to the lady and asked a glass of water. The lady brought him the water, gave it to him, and asked, "Why are you not going back to your house? Where is your home? Why don't you go back to your home? Don't you know the situation is very bad into the Kufa? It's very tense in Kufa. Why don't you go back?" The Muslim drank the water and he didn't reply, and he sat over there. The lady asked him again, "Why are not you leaving? You should go back to your home. You should go back to wherever you are staying." The Muslim puts his head down and says, "Where should one go who doesn't have a home? Where should one go who doesn't have a shelter?" She got surprised and asked, "Who are you?" And Muslim said, "I am the Safir Hussain, Muslim ibn Aqil. I am the representative. I am the ambassador of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. I have been sent by Hussain to Kufa, and these Kufi people has betrayed me. I don't have any place to go." The moment the lady heard the name of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam, she opened the door and called him inside. "You are the servant, you are the ambassador, you are the Safir Hussain, you are invited in my house." She was very happy. She invited Muslim in, she made him sit, and when she was so happy, she didn't know what to do. She was invited him, she gave him food, she gave him shelter, she gave him a place to stay and to rest. And after some time, there was a knock on the door. There was a knock on the door, and she went up and she opened the door. She saw his son coming in, and his son realized that his mother is very happy. He asked, "Why are you so happy?" She said, "I have a very honorable guest in our home." "Who is he?" She says, he's Muslim ibn Aqil, he's the ambassador, he's the Safir Hussain. He's the brother of my Mawla. He's the brother of my master Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. His son says, oh, I was actually looking for him. The governor of Kufa has announced a reward whoever gives any kind of any information about Muslim. He goes straight to the governor and asks and tells him about his location. Before the morning, a Muslim wakes up and he is praying his morning prayers, and all he hears is the horses in the alley. The moment he heard the horses, Muslim asked the lady that I want to go out. The lady said, no, you don't have to go out. Muslim says, no, I can't bear that in a house where there is a lady alone, I don't want a mahram from coming from outside into this home. My honor doesn't allow me to do that. That was the honorable Muslim. He was there trying to save the honor of a lady, an old lady, a normal lady, who's not even from the Ahl Bayt. But for the respect, for the honor of the lady, Muslim goes out, and when he goes out into the alley, he was one of those brave Bani Hashim, about which Imam Hussain has said, if I had only 4 of them, then I don't need anyone else. Among them, this Muslim was one of them. He started to fight those tyrants who were attacking Imam Hussain, who were attacking the Safir of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. He was killing them, he was sending to the hell. When they were all they couldn't arrest him for such a long time. Whoever had anything, they dig up the ground and covered it with certain things so that nobody could see it. When they started attacking Muslim fell into that dig, and they captured Muslim, and they took him to the Darul Imara, to the governor building, and they cut his head off and throw his body. He was the Safir of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Look at the similarity. The Safir got the same treatment like his Mawla got. Imam Hussain, at the end of the day of Ashura, he was all alone. He didn't have anyone to help. He didn't have anyone to get the nusrat from. He looked at his right, he looked at his left, and he had no one to get him to ride the horse. He was all alone. And look at the Safir of Imam Hussain. He is all alone. Look at the similarity. The Imam Hussain is alone in Karbala, and his Safir is all alone in Kufa. Imam Hussain got separated, his head got separated from his body, and his Safir's head got separated from his body. وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلِبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ رِضًا بِقَضَائِهِ وَتَسْلِيمًا لِأَمْرِهِ.